All right, on today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our artificial intelligence course, and we're still doing the optimization module. Let's have a look at what we went over today. Now, yesterday, if you can recall, we were going over constraint satisfaction problems. We're going to dive deep into that. So it turns out that we can classify the constraints in a constraint satisfaction problem into a number of different categories. The first of those categories is perhaps the simplest of the types of constraints, which are known as urinary constraints, where urinary constraints are just constraints that involve a single variable. Now, this is an example of a urinary constraint right here. We have A does not equal Monday. Now, this is in contrast to something like binary constraints, which is a constraint that involves two variables, for example. And this is an example of binary constraint down here. We have A does not equal B. Now, we also went over something called node consistency. And node consistency is when all of the values in a variable's domain satisfy the variable's urinary constraint. Let's move down a little bit further so we can actually see this in action. One second. Yeah. So as you can see here, this is now example. These are our two nodes, A and B. These are our domain variables, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and these are our constraints. Now, initially, we'll see that Monday does not satisfy A's urinary constraints because we have a urinary constraint that says A does not equal Monday. You can see that's right there, the first one. A does not equal Monday, but Monday is still in A's domain. So this is something that is not node consistent because we have Monday in the domain, but this is not a valid value for this particular node. So how do we make this node consistent? To make the node consistent, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and remove Monday from A's domain. Let's move down a little bit further. Now, A can only be on Tuesday or Wednesday because we had the constraint that specified A does not equal Monday. And this will be our new model here. Let me go down a little bit further. You can see we still have our two nodes, A and B, but now if you notice, we only have Tuesday and Wednesday inside our domain variables for A. And at this point now, A is node consistent. For each of the values that A can take on, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, there is no urinary constraint that conflicts with that idea. And that's basically what we did this morning. We just did a bunch of note taking and a bunch of different examples for constraints and constraint satisfaction problems, no consistency, and so on and so on. Yeah, we're going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to keep you guys posted every step of the way. But for now, this is the Python Poppy, and you guys stay Gucci.